Hello everyone, this is Dan Gramza, and welcome to Gramza Market Studies for Wednesday, September 2nd. Well, we've been talking about the fundamental information that's going to be floating around out here this week, and indeed we saw some yesterday. And we can also see by this big red candle along the board, along with all these other markets, that they felt overall the information was bearish. There's some positive things that also came out as well, and I think those are really kind of the key things. But right now what we're going to see is, how does this market behave? We have a lot more coming out. The week's not over with yet, and as we talked about, if this market wants to go down, then you and I would want to be a seller to go with that flow. As a trader, we have ideas and concepts to form opinions, but also from a technical point of view, what initiates a trade really is that price action. At least that's how I perceive this type of behavior. So we're looking for unchanged to lower tomorrow in the NASDAQ market. And if you look at that one a little bit closer, and we're near some levels that are going to be a big deal. So from 60 to 80, if we come back off, how we behave here may give us a clues to the rest of the week. If you look at those currencies, well, the dollar was stronger across the board except for Mr. Yen. All these other markets, you see these red candles, which means the dollar is getting stronger. These currencies are getting weaker. And what we are looking for are for these markets to continue to back off a little bit. But we are near areas that we found buyers before. For example, in the Canadian dollar. And I thought Canadian dollar was very bullish, as we talked about, compared to all these currencies. But really just a little bit of follow through before we backed off some. So very interesting setup. We are looking for continued weakness in these currencies, strengthening in the dollar and our friend Mr. Yen. When it comes to the interest rate markets, we had some volatility on the short end of the curve that would have exited a long position, or at least that would be the concept, from 99.41 to 99.51. That's 10 points. That's $10 times $25 a point, and that'd be $250 a contract. That would be the dollar value of that move. I think we need to be careful here. There was some volatility, but I think the bias is still to the upside. And when it comes to the notes, we see this market did continue its reach. It did get a move and a close above these previous highs, which are important. Bonds, on the other hand, are really kind of struggling there as it gets up in this range. You can see it backed off quite a bit. Oh, here's something I want to show you. If this went through 24, this is a sell point here. It went down to 23. Let me show you that. And that means that would have initiated a short position, and it failed. As this market traded back up to 119, so that would have been down 6 points, or around 180 some dollars. Would have been a loss per contract, but it would have initiated a long position there. Just to give you an idea of what happened there. But we are looking for unchanged to higher. I think we need to be guarded in the interest rate markets with all this fundamental information swirling around out there. Metals, gold really didn't do too much. Stays on the positive side, but again, the challenges are here. It is not meeting them. Silver, on the other hand, is climbing higher, but I think we need to be cautious because these are false sense of securities. That's what I call that kind of behavior as this prices are moving higher. 1520 is going to be a big deal for us. Copper. Copper, I got to tell you, 1 minute China's buying, 1 minute China's not. That's some of the things that are swirling around out there, and where inventories are, where they're not. What we do know is that if copper backs off more, gets below 267, we would then have a downtrend. Right now we have opened up lower, and we are finding buyers coming back into that market. So if you and I did have a sell point on here at 284, I think it may be time to tighten that up a tad bit in terms of the buy side of that market. So we want to be careful. I think this early buying in Asia is a sign of potential strength coming into today's session. And if we take a look at the energy markets, well, crude oil is continuing its move back here to the downside. We're getting out of the range that OPEC wants. When this was back down around $40 or $50 a barrel, you and I were talking about what is it when we think about value of a market. And perception now, at least from OPEC's point of view, is that value for crude oil $70 to $75. And what I find fascinating about that is what a shift. 80% of that contract's life up until the 2000 years was at 17 to $22 a barrel. So if this is indeed the new value, then we expect $50 it can be considered cheap. I really don't think it needs to be up here anyways, if you look at the fundamentals that are out there. But anyways, so we're seeing this back off some. Expect a continuation of that. $67 is going to be a big deal. Natural gas, again, continues its move down. Another day down yesterday. And it's just a matter of, letting that market mature, letting it go low enough to find buyers. And if someone had that sell point on, the idea would be just to let that mature. So there's not much for us to do other than stand on the sidelines, have risk management procedures in place, and the idea of where we'd want to buy this if it does move back up. And when it comes to those grains, well, beans are backing off here a bit, and so is corn. As you and I talked about, I said unchanged to higher for corn. We were looking for unchanged to lower in beans, but it's the fundamentals that are surrounding all of these markets. Again, we got a good crop going here. And in some cases, when it comes to wheat, it's at near record levels. So we're seeing a lot of good things happening here with the crop in the United States. And so the dollar value demand worldwide is also going to have an impact on what we're seeing here. These softer prices, to me, make sense. And I would expect continuation of that. However, the only thing I'd cautious on the short side is that we are again getting near levels that we expect to see some buyers. And that's what's happening here in wheat. So today is I think, going to be a very interesting day for that market. Well, this concludes today's market studies. Hope you found a few ideas helpful, and I'm looking forward to being with you again tomorrow. And in the meantime, take care.